Welcome to Epsilon Theory Shorts. Today's video comes from the Ask Me Anything with Ben Hunt and his guest, Dave Nadig. The question is, are ETFs, ETNs, and grantor trusts basically the same thing?
Speaking of touch with reality, and I swear we're going to get to JNK and HHE, but ETN, an exchange-traded note, that's different from an exchange-traded fund. How?
So ETF unfortunately is Kleenex. It's a brand. We
call everything.
It's
ETFs
become a little
now.
bit perverted. Everything's called an ETF. An actual exchange traded fund that is a 40 Act registered mutual fund under the core. It's about 90% of the things that are filed in the market right now are that kind of vanilla, straightforward fund. It's a trust that owns things, and you own a share of the trust.
And that's safe.
It's as safe as a mutual fund.
As it can be.
Right, unless you believe that the entire ledger...
The entire system breaks
It's as
down,
safe as you owning IBM in your Schwab account, because fundamentally you're using the same ledgering system and the same Delaware and Massachusetts court law to assert that you actually own a beneficial interest in the underlying stock.
Right.
An exchange-traded note is just a promise to pay from some lender who's willing to
the
write
Bank
you a
of
note.
Ben, again.
The Bank of Ben writes me a note that says, I promise to pay you this pattern of returns.
The bar bet.
It's basically another version of the bar bet. The problems with ETNs are mostly that the math can get more complex than people realize. A lot of early ETNs had very path-dependent math, so you thought you were buying, like, I'm just buying the yen. Like a lot of the currency ones were like this. But then there were like these weird resets and stuff that happened where it was like, oh, you're sort of buying the yen, but if it's been up for 30 days, there's like weird stuff. So ETNs in general, I'm not a fan of because the math can be much more complex than you think. You absolutely have counterparty risk.
You've got the counterparty risk.
It's exactly the same as if you bought senior unsecured debt from anybody, because it's all it is. It's just senior unsecured debt.
And all of this is different from, was it the grantor trusts?
So grantor trusts are the simplest, dumbest version of an ETF. It's what's GLD, SLV, now the Bitcoin ETFs.
Where you actually own the thing.
You own the thing in a trust structure that doesn't even need a board because there are no decisions that can be made, right? That's why you put it in a grantor trust, because it's literally like it holds one asset for the benefit of the people who own the trust, and that's all it does.
So none of these decisions about I want cash or I want this security or that security, none of that can happen.
So all of the,
grantor
for instance, with the Bitcoin funds right now, every one of them was granted as a cash-only create grantor trust. Everybody has the same process of if somebody's going to do a create, they hand money in at the end of the day. BlackRock or Bitwise or whoever goes and buys Bitcoin then that evening, because it's a 24/7 market, they don't have to wait till tomorrow morning. So they buy it as soon as they can. And there's some opportunity for slippage there between the price at 4 and when they actually get the Bitcoin in. But, that's the same is true for every other security that you do a cash create for.